Hello guys, this is Korah here and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a special video for you guys. It's going to be a full review and guide on the 60 TP. And the reason it's a special video is that this is actually my most favorite tank in the entire game. So a few seasons ago, I think a few years ago actually, this tank used to be a meta tank in tournaments. Every team was playing like, 5-6 of them basically in one game. And it was a very, very strong tank. And there's a couple of things that make this tank a very, very unique and strong tank. So first of all, if you take a look at the turret here, this turret, the entire turret is basically unpennable. You cannot pen it anywhere. The only place you can pen it is this like very tiny cupola, which is a very hard cupola to hit in the first place. And then on top of that as well, it has a really big gun. It does a lot of damage, and not only does it do a lot of damage, but it's actually, the gun is really good for gun blocking. And I'll show you guys what gun blocking is in a minute here, but I'm just going to go over the rest of the tank characteristics, and then I will show you the other stuff that I'm talking about. But basically it's really good at gun blocking, and it has pretty really strong hull armor, and the lower plate is a very small lower plate compared to like the upper plate, and the upper plate is pretty difficult to pen for the most part. The lower plate is obviously an easy pen, but it's not that easy to pen in general because it's a very small portion of the tank. So if you have like an enemy tank that is trying to hit you from a long range, and you have just like a tiny lower plate showing, it most likely it's not always going to pen. It's a very difficult lower plate to go for, right? And again, as I mentioned guys, this is actually my favorite tank, and you can see here I'm actually rank 50 in this tank. So I've played this tank a bunch of games, and if you take a look at my stats here, I have almost 1,600 games played in this tank, 73% win rate, and almost 3,500 average damage. So yeah, this tank is by far my favorite tank for a reason. I spam this tank a lot. I know I spam other tank like the Flash and stuff, but this tank is just definitely my favorite tank. And like I said, again, some of the characteristics it has, I think in my opinion, are what make a tank really, really enjoyable to play. Again, it has a very big gun, hull down turret, strong armor in general, and you also have really good reverse speed as well, which I'm going to get into in a second. So with that in mind though, let's go over our consumables real quick. Again, this tank, if you take a look at our consumables, I'm using the repair kit, and this tank has tungsten actually. So you have a massive gun and you put tungsten on top of it, it makes it a very deadly combination. You will do a lot of damage with tungsten. And on top of tungsten, I also make sure to use adrenaline, which adrenaline is really important. Make sure you guys are using both consumables here, tungsten and adrenaline. The reason is because if you're using adrenaline and tungsten at the same time, it actually allows you to get 2 shots off with tungsten before your tungsten runs out. So essentially, if I shoot somebody with tungsten, right, I activate tungsten, I shoot them, and right away I activate adrenaline. In that like 14 seconds or 13 seconds I have to reload, my tungsten will not run out, and I'll be able to load another tungsten shot and shoot it. So this is very important for a brawl situation. Will allow you to get quite a bit of damage, and tungsten does really help your damage, to be fair. So that's my consumables for this tank. And when you go towards the provisions here, I'm using the big food, 10% obviously, used for everything. And since I'm using double a tungsten and adrenaline, I only have 1 repair kit. I'm going to use protective kit as well. And then for the third thing here, I'm actually using gear oil. Now, I mentioned earlier, as I was talking about the 60 there, that the 60 has really good reverse speed. Gear oil is the reason it has really good reverse speed. You have the big gear oil here, which gives you plus 4 kilometers in your reverse speed. This is huge. You have, reverse speed is crazy fast, honestly. Like for a tank that has such a big alpha gun, the reason reverse speed is such a nice feature to have is that you can always peek, then reverse back quickly before you can get nuked, right? So you'll basically always win the trade. Most tanks are not really going to be able to hit you more than once at least, because you're always going to be able to reverse back behind cover somewhere, right? And as I mentioned, you have a pretty hull down turret, so once you're behind cover, you're completely safe, right? So this gear oil here, extremely important. Would highly recommend, like, do not skip out on this. Trust me guys, this is very worth it. It's much better than improved fuel. Improved fuel, yeah, it will give you 10% engine power, but engine power does not mean anything if your reverse speed is not like as affected by it as this one. And gear oil definitely affects your reverse speed a lot more than improved fuel ever will. So make sure you run this setup here. In terms of ammo, one major drawback of the 60 is that it fires APCR standard, and the 60 does not really have the most accurate gun in the first place. So APCR with an inaccurate gun is honestly a pretty horrible combination. You will bounce a lot of shots with APCR just because it's an APCR shot, and APCR is not very reliable, to be fair. So that's a bit of an issue. Back in the day, this tank used to have AP. That's why it was actually meta. It was meta when it had AP as a standard ammo. Now it has APCR, and yeah, most teams do not ever use this tank ever in tournaments, although it is a good pub tank for sure. Now, your heat pen is pretty decent, to be fair. You still get like pretty high alpha with heat, so your heat is perfectly fine. And for HE, one thing to keep in mind with HE, guys, is that HE is usually not really that worth it on the 60. So usually, you know, when you think about like a big derpy gun like the 60, right, you essentially think that, okay, I'm gonna, like, let's say I shoot a guy for 600 with a normal AP, right? If I shoot him with HE, if I pen him with HE, it should be like 800, 900, something like that, right? No, it's not like that with the 60. With the 60, most likely when you shoot HE, it's going to be like 700, 800. You're not really going to roll that much higher. It's going to be like between 50 to 100 higher roll there. So only shoot HE if you have the guaranteed pen on a tank. If you do not have the guaranteed pen, and it's kind of a risky shot, just shoot AP. It will never be worth it, to be honest. Trust me, HE is not really worth it on this tank. It's not like the 215B where Hesh is like super useful. No, this HE on this tank is not worth it at all. So just keep that in mind. But with all that in mind here, we're going to go on to the equipment here. Now for equipment, calibrated is an absolute must here, because with the 60 TP, you have APCR. APCR, as I said, APCR standard is a very unreliable shell. So you're actually going to find yourself shooting heat quite a bit. And having calibrated, again, plus 13% pen on heat shells is going to be super useful. You're going to butter through just about everything. It's going to be really, really useful. Now, another thing you should keep in mind when we go on to the next consumable here is that, or not, next equipment, is that 60 TP has a very weak ammo rack. Okay, the 60 TP, if you guys were, I don't know if you guys were watching, but if tournaments a few years ago when 60 TP was meta and 60 TPs were fighting each other, you'd basically have a 60 TP like ammo racked every second game or something. Like, it was that common, like full HP ammo racked, you know, like that's just the way the tank is designed. The ammo rack is extremely weak. Okay, so defense system is an absolute must. It does help you with that negative 25% to the chance of ammo rack explode. You will need this. It will, trust me, it will help you. Make sure you run this. Okay, and then when it comes to improved optics, that's pretty standard, nothing too special here. I'm using supercharge. Again, it's a big derpy gun. It's just a personal preference. I do like supercharge in general. And then one other thing that's super important that you guys might be a little surprised is enhanced armor. Now, if you guys watch the rest of my reviews, I think the majority of the tanks that I review, I have you know, improved assembly, which is like the extra HP. And to be fair, 2700 hit points looks like really nice on paper, but to be fair, 3% hull armor is super important, because as I mentioned early on when I was going over the upper plate on the 60 is very, very hard to pen in the first place. And the only reason it's hard to pen is if you're running enhanced armor. If you're running HP, the upper plate turns from like a troll, like really hard to pen part of the tank, into a pretty easy pen that everybody will just pen through you. So make sure you're running enhanced armor. It's super valuable. This is probably, honestly, the most important equipment in the entire thing. So make sure you run this. Highly recommend this. Okay, moving on. Improved control will always be useful. Again, helps you turn faster, and 60 TP being a slow heavy tank, it's not that slow, but it is slow compared to a lot of other things. So yeah, you will need the improved control, especially if you have like some medium tank circling around you and stuff like that. The improved control will help you deal with that for sure. Now, refined gun, no surprises there. Toolbox, no surprises. And then the other thing you should really keep in mind here is high-end consumables. Now, remember early on here, I mentioned that when you're using adrenaline and tungsten at the same time, you have time to get 2 tungsten shots out before it runs out, right? This high-end consumable is what's going to allow you to get 2 tungsten shots out, is that extra 33% duration to consumables and abilities. So you will absolutely need this. Make sure you run this. Do not skip on. This is probably like the second most important part of the 60 TP here, right after the armor. Okay, so a lot of stuff to pay attention to. Just trust me, copy the setup that I have here. You will not regret it. Some of it might look a little weird. Some of it might be stuff that you don't usually use, but I promise you it's very valuable. And yeah, I mean, I have 1500 games in this tank basically, so I know what I'm talking about here. Okay, but other than that, this is kind of the gist of the 60 here. Now, in the beginning of the video here, at the very beginning of the, going over the tank, I did say I was going to show you guys how to gun block, because gun blocking with the 60 is a super valuable tool. And in these replays, I have a lot of like really nice replays for you guys to see. I'll show you in a bit. I know it's like a long kind of rant that I'm going on here, but I just want to make sure I have every detail covered for you guys, because this tank, like the small details actually make a big difference with the tank. It's like one of those tanks that's very important to pay attention to exactly where you're running. Usually a lot of tanks, it doesn't really matter exactly where you run, but this tank it does. But yeah, anyways, as I was mentioning, the gun is huge. It's probably the biggest gun in the game. It's really wide, and it's like really, like it just, like if you're face hugging somebody and you stick this gun into their turret, basically, the gun is going to take up the entire like screen when they're trying to aim at you, and basically makes it super hard. So obviously it's going to be easier to show you guys this with like an actual video, so just give me a sec and I'll roll out the training room video. Alright guys, so here we have a 60 TP out, and we have a couple of my friends in the training room. Now you can see here 60 TP, the biggest attribute of 60 TP in a face hug here, I just want to show you guys, is the gun. the gun is massive. You see how big the gun is? Like in a face hug, this is what the enemy sees. They see this. Now I can pen the right side of his thing there. Not really the left, but I'm able to pen the right side of his tank to hull there. But if he aims his gun at it, I'm not able to, like, the gun is so big, it just, like, it covers that weak spot completely. This is why the 60 is such a beast in face hugs. It's a very difficult tank to pen, you know, like, it's really a pain for any tank to pen. Now with APCR, I'm not able to pen anything, but with heat, you know, I am able to pen, but he gets gun blocked very easily, guys. So that's something you can use to your advantage when in 60 TP. Now if we go to a different tank here, the MLE, you can see I can gun block him. See, I just gun blocked him right there. You see my module damage. It just got damaged. The gun got damaged. Again, the 60 TP. If you just aim your gun at the opponent's gun, it's the best tank for gun blocking because it has such a massive barrel. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Again, very easy way to use the 60 TP. Now, the only weakness you have in a face hug against the 60 TP is the cupola right there. Now, Climber's going to aim right at it. You can see he just penned my cupola with his MLE. That is the one weak spot that you have on the turret. That's it. Other than that, the turret is like basically all red. And you saw there, like an enemy 60 TP face hug, the whole thing is just red. You know, nothing you can do. Now, if you don't gun block, the enemy will be able to pen you, just like Lucky did here with his tank. If I was not aiming my gun at his gun, I was aiming at his weak spot. So just, again, you need to be mindful in a face hug when you're like when your opponent's about to shoot you, because when they're about to shoot, you need to aim your gun at them no matter what. Okay, that's how you avoid taking damage for the most part. Alright guys, so I just showed you the training room replay of how to gun block. Again, hopefully it helped. I know this is a very important tactic, to be honest, with the 60 TP. It will help you in a lot of situations, and you'll see in my replays that I'm about to show you. But real quick, just want to go over the gun real quick because that's something I missed earlier. The 60 TP does 630 average damage with APCR, and with heat it does 550 average damage. Now, if you add tungsten on top of that, you'll find yourself, to be honest, shooting with APCR. It's pretty normal to shoot 700 to 720 plus rolls, like with tungsten. That's like the average roll you'd get basically with tungsten. Now, to be fair, this is actually a lot. That's why tungsten with the adrenaline at the same time, where you can get 2 tungsten shots off in the before it runs out, is really useful, because you'll be able to, that basically means in 2 shots with tungsten, so basically 14-15 seconds, however long it takes to reload a 60 TP. If you have tungsten for both the shots, you're gonna end up shooting a tank for 1400 damage in 15 seconds basically, which is a huge amount of damage. There's not many tanks that will be able to ever like shoot you for that much damage. Even 183 I think takes much longer to reload than a 60 would, right? So this is super important and will definitely help you out a lot. And yeah, that's just the only thing I want to go over now. Again, if you guys enjoy these kind of reviews, I know this is a long one, but make sure you guys smash that like button. It helps out the channel a lot. And also make sure you subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. But without further ado, let's get right into the replays. I know you guys have been waiting for a while for it, so let's get into it. Alrighty guys, so first video here in the 60 TP is going to be on Canyon. Now Canyon is a pretty decent map if you control the middle of the map, to be honest. So for this exact reason, I'm actually going to head towards the middle of the map here. I do kind of feel like the majority of my team is going to go towards the C side, including my M48 Patton, which, to be honest, I was expecting him to go towards the B cap. But since I see that they're all going to go towards C, I'm going to make the decision here to go towards B myself, even though my tank isn't like the most ideal tank for B. But as long as I have a bit of a turret and, pretty good armor, I should be able to make it work. So I'm going to head towards B just to get some little bit of control early on here. Now I'm going to see if I can maybe get a couple shots into their team crossing towards the heavy side here. Now immediately the enemy 60 gets spotted. Same with the 260 and the mouse as well, which we try to aim in on the mouse. We use a tungsten shot. Side of his turret, 744. Again, the very 60 TP is known for its amazing alpha damage, and that right there is a good example of it. Alpha damage with this tungsten, it's crazy the amount of damage rolls that you're about to hit with the 60. If the mouse had kept going, we could have shot him a second time there, but he stops. So unfortunately our tungsten does run out before we're able to use a second shot off of it, but all is good. Now I see a minnow camping in the back here. It's a bit of a tight shot though, so I decided not to take it. And right away I can see that there's a lot of action going on in the C cap here, so I'm going to prioritize shooting the M103. Do get a nice shot into the side of his turret there, 612. Again, not the highest roll, but pretty good. And we do actually end up capping B in the process, which actually is a pretty big cap to have. Now enemy leopard seems to kind of be a little bit lost here. I don't know why he's in the middle of the map, but we're going to try to get a shot at him, and we do get it. Big kill right there. So we're starting the game off pretty strong. We penned all of our shots so far. We're at 2k damage already with just 3 shots fired. Very good stuff so far. Again, I'm going to try to look for the M103 here. I do see that the C cap is like the main fight here. I'm aiming in on the turret, and we do get the shot. Again, M103 is a one-shot perfect situation for my team here. My team should be able to win this, although this T54 there, I don't know what he did, but he just suicided over the middle of the map. kind of, I don't know, just a free kill that he gave to the enemy team makes the game a little bit more harder for me. But all is good. We're gonna farm the mouse here again. Nice shot in the side of the mouse. And this is when 60 TP can really shine, guys. Is when you don't really have to aim your shot too much. If you have people driving sideways at you, where you can just aim your shot like easily without having to, like, you know, be precise about it. You know, it is a very easy tank to farm a lot of damage in. But in this situation here, the mouse has finally backed off. He seems like he's a little bit aware, and all of a sudden we see that minnow. Now we load the gold shell, we shoot it, and oh, the gun just lets us down here. This, guys, this was a game on stream, and on stream I had a feeling that this shot might have cost me the game here. I had a feeling this game was going to be pretty close. You can see it's a 5v3 actually against us, so every bit of damage I have here is going to be important. And we do get the shot on the mouse here. Again, pretty important shot. It's still a winnable game at this time. And the minnow is the only thing that I really have to worry about because he is pretty healthy. I have no idea where the grill is as well, but he's also another tank I have to be a little bit aware of. Overall, though, we've done 4k damage, 4v3 right now, very doable game. The mouse is a one-shot technically for our 183, as long as he can hit it. And, oh, there's a 60 TP, also spotted, going to aim for the side there. That's where the M-rack is. We don't quite get the M-rack, but we do get a 684 roll into him, and we do get the bounce as well. So overall, we've done a lot of damage, almost 4.7k damage right now, and we've taken no shots in return. Huge advantage for us so far. But now this minnow shows up, and again, this minnow, I knew he was going to be a big problem. Load up the heat, try to pen his turret, and we get trolled again. This minnow is going to be the bane of my existence, I can tell. And this guy, those two shots that I bounced on him so far, they are going to haunt me. I can already tell it's going to haunt me. Minnow is a dangerous tank for me to face, and basically now I'm going to have to eat an entire clip from him whenever he decides to push over because, you know, he's full HP, right? So if he was a two-shot, it would have been a little bit of a different story. We could have maybe peeked him by now and shot him again here, but he is full HP. So right now, though, I'm going to try to win the game by caps here. I do see that we have double cap. We have B and we have C. So if I can just stall this game a little bit longer here, I can actually win this game by caps, and that's kind of going to be my plan B here. Now I can see I'm going to get pincered here from two different directions. I have the 60 on my left and the minnow in front of me, and I'm actually going to decide to prioritize the 60 here over the minnow. The minnow is full HP. The 60 is closer to me, and, you know, at the same time, it's kind of giving me the fight, whereas the minnow is playing super passive in the back. I'm not really able to shoot him a whole lot. So we're going to try our best to try to get a bounce off the minnow here, try to angle our lower plate as much as we can. Now, minnow only has, he's fired 2 shots here, so if he shoots his reserve shell, which he just did, minnow just shot his reserve shell, so that means that minnow's on like a 20-second reload here. So now I'm just fully focusing my attention on the 60 here. I just want to get the 60 out of the game. I'll have enough time to kill the 60 here, and then face hug the minnow right after to try to, you know, stall the time there. Minnow, again, he shot his reserve shell, which is a bit of a mistake there. Now we have the 1v1 with the minnow there, but it's unfortunately a 1v3 at the moment. You know, you have the mouse and the grill on the other side of the map. Minnow, again, shoots his reserve shell. Another mistake there. He should have just reloaded, but we do get our first penetration into him here, and we do start face hugging him. Now, one thing that the 60 does really well, guys, is the 60 has a massive gun, guys. Very, very good for gun blocking. Very, very good for face hugs, and that's what we're going to do here. We're going to aim our guns directly at his gun, like you can see here in the barrel. Make sure that he can't pen us, and we're going to easily pen him because we're in a face hug with him. Now, right now, Minnow's really struggling to pen us. Can he pen us? Can he pen us? Yeah, we got the gun block. Even the HE shot, guys, that was HE. He shot HE there, and the HE did only 5 damage there, so you can see how strong the 60 is in a face hug. We're going to try to load the HE shell, see if we can get the back of his tank, but looks like we're not going to be able. We're going to shoot the AP one and try to use the corpse of the enemy 60 TP there as, like, you know, a cover from the mouse. Try to angle our tank again. You know, we're at 8.3k damage, and unfortunately, guys, the grill does get us at the very end. So we really did everything we possibly could of this game. We did have some very interesting teammates, but this game is a perfect example of how good the 60 can be if, you know, you're playing somewhere where you don't really have to aim a whole lot. You guys saw how I had to aim there, and the 60 gun, guys, is not the most accurate gun. And in this situation here against the minnow, especially against the minnow, those 2 shots that bounced off the minnow, those were kind of troll shots. They should have penned, to be honest. I aimed them pretty well, but it is a 60s gun after all, and the 60s gun is not that accurate, and, you know, you will miss a couple shots here and there if you don't have easy side shots on you know, the enemy. So this game here highlights everything that's amazing with the 60 and everything that sucks with the 60. You know, what sucks again is the fact that the gun is not very accurate, and, you know, having, you know, that, you know, but the good thing is in face hugs, the 60 is extremely strong in face hugs. Probably the strongest tank ever in a face hug with enemy tanks if you can gun block them. You know, the gun is massive on that thing, and like we were able to get so many shots off the minnow there at the end, you know, and that gave us an 8.4k game. I mean, we did get the mastery as well, basically penned almost every shot except the shot on the 2 shots in the minnow there. So a bit of an unfortunate loss, but again, very solid game. Alrighty, so now we're on our second game here, right after the loss in Canyon. But this game is going to be on Oasis. And Oasis, again, there's a lot of very good maps for 60TP. 60TP is a very versatile tank, to be honest. It has very good turret armor, has, you know, overall good hull armor as well. And the lower plate is pretty small, very troll lower plate in general. So, very solid tank. And I was, in the beginning here, you can see I was kind of like debating whether I should go med side or not. But I kind of see that, you know, it seems like the enemy team doesn't really have any mediums. Actually, if you look at the enemy team here, they have no mediums whatsoever, and we do have the medium, like we have the KPZ there. So I'm actually going to end up trusting my KPZ to go spot the med side here. I assume that he's not going to get caught out, and I'm assuming that the rest of their team is probably going to go towards the heavy side since they have no mediums whatsoever. So we're going to aim at the heavy crossing here. We do get the early shot in, very nice shot in the KPZ there, 660 alpha, very solid, and we get the bounce as well. Again, perfect use of the 60 TP. Now we're going to use this time, you know, once we know that we have a little bit more support, we're going to start moving a little bit more aggressive towards, you know, the enemies here. And we do have the 4005 with us, although his tank is not really that useful in this situation, but we can immediately see that the 50 TP for the enemy team is moving up, and we're going to try to use this as, you know, a chance to try to get some damage in. Although he does have a lot of cover, he has 4 tanks covering him basically, but we're going to try to get some shots into the SRV here. We load the gold shell, we load the tungsten, and we pen it with the 635 there. So very nice shot there, and then we start backing up. Now I can see 50 TP is just flanking behind us here. I have no idea how he's getting away with this play here, but he is somehow getting away with it, and we're going to end up trying to shoot him here just to try to punish him a little bit. We get a huge 746 roll there into him, and all of a sudden this guy's basically like a one shot now, so we don't have to worry too much about him. Now I can see that my enemy team, I do have an amazing chieftain player there who's role playing a tank destroyer. He's guarding the spawn with his life. Very, very interesting chieftain moment there. But overall, everything is still pretty okay. We're still holding the heavy side. I am going to load the HE shell, and we do get the max roll to the roof of the turret there with the HE. We're able to kill that 50 TP pretty easily. Right away here, since our team has control of the med side, we do notice that the E4 is in a bit of a crossfire, so my attention immediately focuses towards this E4 here, who I should have a pretty easy shot into his side there. We load it, we get a nice shot, 600 alpha there. Again, that's one thing that the 60 TP does really well, is the alpha, and as you can see, our amazing chieftain still has not moved an inch. This guy is guarding the corner with his life. But it's not going to stop us from having a good game. You know, even if we have some questionable teammates, we're still going to do our best here. And we can see that the E4 is pretty low HP actually. So because the E4 is low HP, I'm actually going to start moving up here. Because I'm not really that scared of their heavies anymore, and I'm not that worried about being crossfired from the E4, since, you know, he is pretty easy to kill. I'm assuming my team's going to kill him eventually, and now I'm just trying to get some more damage into the enemy team here. We do have tungsten in a couple seconds, but we're going to just peek the KPZ there early before we get the tungsten, and then we're going to reload once again. Again, 60 TP excels in peekaboo playstyle. You know, you're going to win basically every trade that you do because you have one of the biggest guns in the game. So even if you take a shot in return, most likely you're going to win the trade. And, you know, anyways, I look at, like, these guys are starting. I have not taken a shot of damage yet, by the way. These guys are, you know, just really starting to pen me. I finally do take a shot from the E4 there. Somehow my team has not killed him yet, but overall you can see that, you know, my team is going to win this game no matter what here. We do have a pretty big advantage. Again, huge tungsten shot into the STRV there, 700 average, and we're at almost 5k damage done, and we're still decently healthy. Now in this situation here, we are getting crossfired a little bit. The E4 somehow being alive is kind of throwing my game off a little bit. He finally goes down now, but it is a little too late for me. As you know, the STRV is already pushed behind me, and I'm not really able to get a whole lot safer than I currently am. But all is good for now. I think I can get one more shot in before I die here. STRV just finished killing my KPZ, so I can only assume he's going to focus me here. So I'm just going to try to get a shot into the 60 here, because I know he's going to kill me at some point. So we're going to go forward here. 60 doesn't get baited by the shot here, and we're going to try to rush our shot in. We get the shot in, and STRV is going to kill us. But again, we literally did all of our, you know, like, we basically did the best, like, damage we could have done with the game that we had. Now you can see here our amazing chieftain is still AFK, but yeah, he's got the tungsten, guys. Don't worry, he's got the game. You know, this guy knows what he's doing. He's got the tungsten. He's been sniping the whole time in one corner of the map here. Is he finally going to move up? Is he finally going to move up? That is the question. What do you guys think? Does this guy move up whatsoever? No, he does not. Bro guards the corner the entire game till the very end. Very, very, you know, committed player. You know, but yeah, overall, I think this was a very good showcasing for the 60 TP there. Again, the peekaboo playstyle, how hull down you are behind a hill. I was able to really do so much damage before the enemy team was able to kill me. And even when they killed me, it's because I moved up anyways, you know, because I wanted some more damage. But other than that, you know, very, very solid game with the 60. Just, again, 6.1k. damage block, 3k damage block by the way, which is quite a bit actually, and we do get the first class. So overall, very good game, and just another good example of how you can use a 60 to its greatest potential. Alrighty, moving on to the third game here in the 60. We have the map Mayan Ruins. Now, Mayan Ruins is actually a pretty good map for the 60. Again, 60 is a very versatile tank. It can go either in town, or it can go into the middle, or it can even go on the seaside. A very flexible tank, to be honest. You're decently mobile, and you have a perfect, you know, like armor profile to play basically anywhere. So with this in mind, again, I do see the majority of my team going towards the med side here, so that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go towards the middle of the map here, just try to support them on the med side. Now 60 TP again has a very troll lower plate, and you know, overall there's a lot of positions you can make use of that, and one of these positions is the middle. If you can see a little bit to my right here, there is a rock to my right where I'm aiming at it. That's going to be a very good position for the 60 to play, because you can kind of hide your lower plate behind a little bit of the rocks there, while your turret is tall enough to be able to shoot over top of the hill in front of you. Now immediately the grill does play super aggressive. He does catch us off guard, but we do put a shot back into him, and to be honest, overall we actually did win that trade. We did more damage than he did, and we also have more hit points than he did, so he can't afford to lose the amount of hit points that, you know, that we did, and we still won that trade anyway. So good trade to start the game off here. Now we can see BZ is being a little bit aggressive. We load the tungsten, we put one shot into his side there. He does pen us back. We're not really able to reverse fast enough before he's able to pen us, but again, overall we did actually win that trade once again. That's the thing about the 60-60, is the king of trades, guys. It will always win the trade no matter what, you know, for the most part, unless you get shot by 1-3 obviously. But you know, if you can slow the game down, it's a very good tank. Now E5 here does a questionable play. We do shoot him in the back there, 702 there. That's without the tungsten, by the way, so that's just like a normal AP roll. Again, very strong, you know, like alpha that this tank has. And the E5 for some reason hasn't fully backed up. Looks like he might give us another shot here. He is getting face hugged by the Yag there. So I am going to see if I can shoot the SCB. I'm expecting SCB to back up here. He's being pushed by the front there. We load the HE shot, and we got a nice HE shot on the back of his tank there, 720 HE. Just one thing to keep in mind though is that HE shots on this tank, you know, they don't really do that much more damage than AP shots. You can see I rolled 720 on that SCB with HE, whereas on the E5 earlier I rolled 700 anyway, so it's only like, it's a very small damage difference, not really like the big nuking potential that a lot of other tanks will have with this kind of caliber of a gun. But still a very good situation. Now we've traded with the BZ. Now we're in basically a 1v1 with the BZ here, and the BZ actually does have the advantage with us. However, remember how I guys mentioned earlier in the very first game on Canyon that the 60's gun is very strong for face hugging? Well, we're going to put that to the test here. We're going to, again, we're aiming our gun straight at this guy's gun, and he's going to have a lot of trouble penning us. Like you see here, he just shot our gun, bounced off of our gun, and now we have the advantage actually because we have a faster reload than he does, and we also have tungsten. So we can load heat and guarantee the kill shot with heat there and tungsten. So overall, very good game. However, in the process of gun blocking that guy there, we actually end up damaging our own gun. So our gun is going to be a little bit more inaccurate than it already is, you know, which is kind of a lot. You know, the 60 already is a pretty inaccurate tank, but now we're even more inaccurate. But we do see the 1-3 moving up here. Now with the broken gun, can we get the shot in? We do not, unfortunately, get the shot in. We do miss the shot there. Again, the broken gun and the already inaccurate gun does not help us at all. But my teammate does kill the grill here, so overall the game is pretty good for us. It is a decently close game, but it's a 1-3. Now can we get the shot in? We do get the shot in. Somehow with the broken gun we do get the shot at the very end there. So overall we've done very good damage, 5.2k overall I think. And this game again is just the game, you know, the 60 TP is just the king of trades, guys. And we actually do bounce him at the very end. So we actually did hit him, but we bounced. We fully, you know, shot that on dispersion while we had a broken gun, and it gets the bounce. But, you know, again, 60 TP, king of trades, guys. If you can find somewhere on the map where you can just slow the game down, we don't have to be in a brawl like immediately, because the 60 TP does not have the highest DPM. But if you're just in a situation where like 1v1 against someone else and you're able to peek on your own, you know, at a time of your own choosing, you're going to win the trade every single time. The 60 TP has a bigger gun than majority of tanks, and you also have, you know, when it comes to a situation where you're low HP, that face hug is going to be a very good situation for you. You do get a lot of bounces with the face hug. Alright guys, so we reached the end of the video here, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I know this is a very long and detailed video, but 60 TP is my favorite tank in the game, and I just wanted to share every little bit of knowledge that I have playing this tank. I do have a lot of experience in it, and I just wanted to highlight every little thing in it throughout this guide here. But apart from that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and again, if you did enjoy, make sure you guys smash that like button. It helps the channel out a lot, and I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you guys enjoy this kind of content, then make sure you guys subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I will have linked at the very end of the video here some other videos that I've done. I do have a Korah clutch series, so a lot of, you know, games, like just single games where I have like nice clutches and stuff like that. So if you guys enjoy this kind of video, you may enjoy the clutch series. I'll have it linked to the top right, and I also have linked some of the other guides that I have, just a playlist for all the guides for other tanks and stuff like that, linked as well in the top left. But other than that, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.